They always say curiosity kills the cat. I used to laugh at that, until the night I decided to find out why my neighbor's windows started glowing at 3 a.m. I moved into the house on Maple Crescent in early autumn, a quiet neighborhood tucked away from the city's noise. It was the kind of place where the air always smelled faintly of pine, where the same handful of people walked their dogs at the same times every day. It felt safe, ordinary even. But ordinary things have a way of hiding something darker beneath the surface. My house sat directly across from number 19, an old two-story building that looked like it hadn't seen a coat of paint in decades. The shutters hung crooked, and ivy crawled up the brick like veins. I never saw anyone there. The mailbox was empty, the yard unkempt, and yet, at night, I would sometimes hear faint sounds from inside. Not the usual creaks or hums of an old home, but something else. A slow dragging noise. A muffled thump. Once, I thought I heard whispering. I told myself it was my imagination, until the glow started. The first night happened, I woke up without reason. My clock read 3:07 a.m. The house was silent. I turned over to go back to sleep, but caught sight of something through my bedroom window, a faint light across the street. I pulled the curtain aside and froze. The windows at number 19 were glowing. Not just lit from inside, glowing. A pale, bluish-white light pulsed softly, like the building was breathing. I waited, expecting to see shadows moving inside, or someone walking past the window. But there was nothing, just that silent, steady light that bathed the front lawn in an unnatural hue. After a minute, it faded until the house was dark again. I stood there, heart hammering in my chest, unsure if I just witnessed something real or if I'd finally lost my mind to the exhaustion of unpacking boxes all day. The next morning, I tried to dismiss it. Maybe someone had installed weird motion lights. Maybe it was a reflection from a passing car. Rational explanations were always easier than the truth. But when I asked the mail carrier about the house, she looked at me strangely. "Oh, you mean the old Reeves place?" she said. "Hasn't been anyone living there for years. Power's been off since 2014. I laughed awkwardly. "You sure? Looked like someone was up late last night." Her face darkened. "You must have seen something else. No one lives there. Best not to go poking around, sweetheart." That should have been enough for me to drop it. But that night, I found myself waiting for 3 a.m. I turned off the lights, sat by the window, and watched. At 3:02, it happened again. The glow bloomed inside, soft and ghostly, spilling through the cracks in the curtains. The light seemed stronger this time, pulsating rhythmically, as if reacting to something unseen. I felt an odd sensation, like a vibration under my skin. Goosebumps prickled my arms. I tried to record on my phone, but when I opened the camera, the light disappeared. The screen went black, though the glow remained visible to my eyes. My phone's clock glitched, freezing at 3:03 a.m. Then everything went dark. The light, my phone, even a street lamp outside. For a moment, the entire street was swallowed in silence. And then, I heard it. A low hum, almost melodic, coming from inside number 19. It was faint at first, but grew louder, resonating through the ground, through my bones. My vision blurred. I stumbled back from the window, and, as I did, the glow vanished completely. The clock jumped to 3:15, and the normal sounds of the night returned. I didn't sleep after that. The next day, I decided to check the property. From up close, the house looked even worse. The front door was chained shut, and the wood was splintered. I peeked through a broken window, and dust danced in the slivers of sunlight. Everything inside was covered in sheets, furniture, mirrors, even the walls in some places. But what struck me most was the smell. It wasn't musty or rotten. It smelled metallic, like ozone and copper, like something that shouldn't be there. I walked around the side of the house and found something odd. Every window on the upper floor had thick, black tape around the edges, like someone had tried to seal them. I lifted a corner of the tape, and my skin tingled. A faint static buzzed in my ears, and my fingertips went cold. I pulled back instantly, heart pounding. That's when I noticed the ground beneath the window. It was scorched. A perfect circle of dead grass, maybe 3 feet wide, directly under the sill. I went home shaken. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Who had lived there? Why was the power off? What was that light? Every rational answer I came up with fell apart as soon as I thought it through. By nightfall, I decided to stay up again. I told myself I just wanted to understand. But really, I think I already knew I was being drawn to it. At 2:59 a.m., I was already sitting in front of the window, heart racing. The glow appeared again, stronger than before. This time, it didn't just fill the windows. It seemed to reach out, spilling across the yard like liquid light. And then I saw movement. A figure, someone, or something, stood inside the house, behind the curtain. Its shape was human, but not quite. Too tall, too thin. The outline flickered, like static on an old TV. And then it turned toward me. I couldn't see a face, but I felt the weight of its stare. A pressure in my chest, like invisible hands squeezing the air out of my lungs. I stumbled back, knocking over a lamp. The light flickered off. When I looked again, the glow was gone. That was the first time I felt truly afraid. The next morning, I couldn't eat or focus. My phone kept freezing at 3 o'clock whenever I checked the clock. Every sound outside made me jump. I told myself I should just leave, maybe stay at a friend's for a few days. But then I got a knock on my door. It was a woman, maybe in her late 60s, standing on my porch with a cane. Her hands trembled as she spoke. "You're living across from the Reeves house." I nodded cautiously. "Then you've seen it." Her voice was barely above a whisper. "The light." I hesitated. "Yes." "Do you know what it is?" Her eyes filled with something between fear and pity. "You shouldn't watch it. Once it notices you, it doesn't stop." I asked her what she meant, but she just shook her head. "I used to live 2 houses down. My husband saw it. Stared too long one night. He started talking about voices, about something calling his name from the dark. 2 weeks later, I found him on our porch, staring at that house. He wasn't breathing." She turned to leave, but before she did, she added one last thing. "If you hear it humming again, don't look out the window. No matter what you see, no matter who's calling your name." That night, I locked every door, pulled every curtain, and tried to sleep. But at 3:01 a.m., my phone buzzed. A notification, a text message from an unknown number. It read, "Why did you stop watching?" I froze. My throat went dry. Before I could react, another message appeared. "Look outside." I didn't want to. Every part of me screamed not to. But curiosity has a way of eating through fear. My hand moved on its own, pulling the curtain aside. The glow was brighter than ever, so bright it painted my room white. And, standing in the middle of the street, facing my window, was the same figure I'd seen the night before. Except now, it was closer, and it was smiling. The light outside swallowed everything. My reflection vanished from the glass, leaving only that figure standing in the street, motionless. The glow bled into the cracks of the pavement, humming low like electricity under the skin. For a long, suspended moment, I couldn't breathe. My hand trembled against the curtain. Then, as if it could sense my hesitation, the figure tilted its head. It was such a small, deliberate motion, but it told me something terrible. It knew I could see it. I stumbled back from the window, my phone still in my hand. The screen flickered, static and distortion, the same shimmering blue-white that pulsed from the windows across the street. I tried to call someone, anyone, but every number ended the same way. Silence, then that low humming, faint but growing. The same hum I'd heard coming from number 19. The light outside flickered, once, twice, then disappeared. Darkness flooded the street again. The street lamp buzzed weakly back to life. The figure was gone. I sat on the floor for nearly an hour, listening. My house creaked, the wind pressed against the walls, and my heart thudded like a drum in my throat. When I finally dared to look outside again, everything was still. The house across the street was dark, just as it had always been. But I didn't sleep. The next morning, I found muddy footprints on my front porch. They led right up to my door and stopped there, as if whoever, or whatever, had been outside simply vanished. The prints weren't like normal footprints either. They were elongated, stretched unnaturally, like whoever made them had too many joints or too little bone. I called the police that afternoon. I told them someone had been outside my house in the middle of the night. The officer who arrived, a tall man named Reynolds, looked more tired than concerned. "Neighbor trouble's pretty common," he said, jotting notes on his pad. "You sure it wasn't a prank? Kids around here like to mess with new homeowners." I hesitated. "The house across the street, number 19. Do you know who lives there?" His pen froze mid-scribble. For a moment, his face shifted, just a flicker, but I caught it. He knew something. No one's lived there in a long time, he said quickly. Place is condemned. We've had a few break-ins, but nothing lately. Then why are there lights every night at 3 a.m.? I pressed. He looked up at me sharply. You've seen that too? I nodded. He closed his notebook slowly. Listen, if you're smart, you'll stay inside. Keep your blinds shut after midnight. That house, it's better if you don't talk about it. I wanted to ask more, but he was already heading for the door. As he stepped off my porch, he turned back and said quietly, if you hear it knocking, don't open the door, no matter what it says. That night, I did something reckless. I set up a camera on a tripod in front of my window, aimed directly at number 19. I needed proof, not just for myself, but for anyone who'd ever seen that light and been called crazy. The glow came right on schedule, 3:02 a.m. Through the lens, the light flickered erratically, shifting from blue to white to a deep, pulsating amber. For the first time, I heard something beneath the hum, a whisper, faint at first, like someone muttering underwater. I turned up the camera's microphone and leaned in close. The words became clearer, forming fragments of sentences. Come outside. We see you. Don't hide. I pulled back, heart hammering. My hand shook as I checked the camera's screen, but what I saw made my blood run cold. There, standing just beyond the fence line of my yard, was the figure again, closer than ever. The camera's timestamp read 3:07 a.m., but the image flickered between frames, showing subtle differences each second. The figure's head turning slightly, its arm lifting higher, closer to pointing directly at my window. And then, my phone buzzed. Another message. We're closer tonight. My skin crawled. I dropped the phone, stumbled away from the window, but something in the air shifted. A vibration, deep, resonant, almost physical, rolled through the house. My light bulbs flickered, then burst. Glass rained down like sharp rain. The humming grew louder, filling every corner of the house. The door rattled. Once, twice, 3 times. Then a voice, calm, low, and eerily familiar, came from the other side. Please, open the door. It's me. I froze. It was my own voice. I couldn't move. My throat locked up, breath shallow. The voice continued, still soft, pleading. I just want to come in. Please. It's cold out here. The handle turned slightly. I stumbled backward, hitting the kitchen counter. The voice spoke again, closer now. Why did you stop watching? You liked watching us. Then came silence. I didn't sleep at all that night. When morning came, I checked the footage. The recording had stopped exactly at 3:08 a.m. The last frame showed something horrific. Hands, dozens of them, pressing against the inside of the windows of number 19. Pale, twisted hands reaching out from the glow. Some of them were too long, some too short, some missing fingers entirely. But all of them were moving. And in the middle of them, just visible between the hands, was a face. My face. I shut the laptop and threw it across the room. My pulse wouldn't slow down. I felt watched constantly. Every reflection seemed to shift when I looked away. Shadows moved where they shouldn't. I caught glimpses of figures at the edge of my vision, standing by the curtains, just outside the bathroom door, reflected in the TV when it was off. I thought I was losing my mind. By evening, I decided to leave. I packed the bag, grabbed my keys, and told myself I'd find a motel. But when I stepped outside, the air was wrong. Thick, heavy. The entire neighborhood was silent. No wind, no crickets, no distant hum of cars. Just silence. Then I looked at the house across the street. The front door of number 19 was wide open. Against every instinct screaming in my head, I walked across the street. The air grew colder with each step, my breath fogging in the darkness. The open doorway gaped like a mouth. I hesitated at the threshold, the smell of metal and damp earth overwhelming. Inside, the floorboards were warped and blackened. Every wall was covered in mirrors, cracked, dirty, some hanging by a single nail. And from deep inside the house came that low hum again. I took a step forward. The door slammed shut behind me. The hum intensified, vibrating through my chest. The mirrors began to flicker, each one showing flashes of movement. Figures shifting, hands reaching, eyes opening. I turned to run, but the reflection in the nearest mirror wasn't mine. It was the figure's. Its face was clearer now, a grotesque imitation of me. Same eyes, same mouth, but stretched and warped, smiling too wide. It raised its hand, pressing it against the glass. Instinctively, I mirrored the motion, and when my fingers touched the surface, the glass moved. It was soft, warm, like skin. A hand grabbed mine from the other side. I screamed and yanked back, stumbling away. The hum turned into a shriek of static. Every mirror shattered at once, shards flying like knives. The light exploded from the walls, blinding, devouring everything. And just before I lost consciousness, I heard one last whisper close to my ear. You shouldn't have watched. I woke up on my living room floor, sunlight streaming through the window. My clock read 7:48 a.m. My front door was open. My camera was gone. And across the street, number 19 looked as silent and abandoned as ever. But when I looked closer, I saw something in the upstairs window. A faint glow, and pressed against the glass was my hand. I didn't move for nearly an hour. I just stood there, staring across the street, unable to process what I was seeing. The sunlight should have washed everything out, but that faint glow still pulsed behind the upper window of number 19. My hand, perfectly outlined against the glass, as though I were trapped inside, pressing to get out. I told myself it couldn't be real, that maybe I lost time, that maybe the whole night was some kind of vivid nightmare. But deep down, I knew better. Every part of me, my racing pulse, my trembling hands, the cold crawling up my neck, was screaming that something had crossed over. The hum was still there, faint but constant, like it had burrowed into my skull. When I closed my eyes, I could almost hear whispering beneath it, fragments of my own voice tangled with others. You're still watching. You wanted this. Come back inside. I tried to drown it out. I turned on music, the TV, ran the faucet, anything to fill the silence. But no matter what I did, the hum stayed, vibrating under every sound. When I finally stepped outside to clear my head, I found something on my porch. A small, square mirror. It wasn't mine. The frame was cracked, the glass clouded with something that looked like frost. When I tilted it toward the sun, for a split second, my reflection didn't move. It stared back, its expression blank and wrong. Then, slowly it smiled. That was when I decided to leave. I packed a duffel bag, stuffed my laptop inside, and drove. I didn't care where, just away from Maple Crescent, away from that house. But the further I went, the more wrong everything started to feel. The streets seemed longer than they should have been. Every intersection looked the same. After 30 minutes of driving, I realized I hadn't passed a single other car. The gas station I'd seen that morning was gone, replaced by an empty lot. The houses all looked too still, like they were just painted facades. When I looked in a rearview mirror, my house, number 17, Maple Crescent, was still there behind me. No matter how far I drove, I couldn't leave. Panic clawed at my throat. I floored the gas pedal, but the world outside the windows blurred into streaks of pale light, like the colors had been drained away. Then, the radio turned on by itself. Static at first, then a voice. My own. Turn around. The steering wheel jerked violently in my hands. I screamed, slamming the brakes, but the car spun out and stopped at the curb. When the dust settled, I was parked in front of my house again. The glow had returned. 3 p.m., broad daylight, and the windows of number 19 were glowing. I don't remember going inside, but suddenly I was sitting on my living room floor, staring at the mirror from the porch. My hands moved without me meaning to, tracing the cracks along its edges. The frost cleared, and my reflection blinked. Only I hadn't. My reflection leaned forward, lips parting. It whispered something I couldn't hear. I leaned closer, and then I heard it. My own voice, soft but urgent. It's not me. The reflection looked terrified. Its eyes darted towards something behind me. I turned. Nothing was there. When I looked back, the reflection had changed again. Its skin was gray, eyes hollow, mouth stretched into that impossible grin. The mirror vibrated in my hands. The hum rose into a shriek, and suddenly, I wasn't in my living room anymore. The world shifted like a film reel, skipping frames. My vision blurred, colors draining until everything was a shade of blue-gray. I stood in the hallway of number 19. Dust hung in the air like smoke, catching the faint pulse of light coming from upstairs. Every step I took made the floor groan, long, shuddering creaks that echoed through the house. The smell hit me again, Metal and damp earth, stronger now, mixed with something rotting beneath it. I reached the staircase. Each step upward felt heavier than the last, as though something was pressing down on me, fighting me back. The hum grew louder, coming from a room at the end of the hall, the one with the glowing window. When I reached the door, I hesitated. The light spilled through the cracks, washing the hallway in a ghostly glow. I pushed it open. Inside, every wall was covered in mirrors. Some were full length, some shattered, others warped and rippled like water. And in each one, I saw versions of myself, hundreds of reflections, all standing still, watching me. They didn't move when I did. Their eyes followed me, but their bodies remained perfectly still. Then one of them blinked, and another smiled. And then, in perfect unison, they all raised their hands and pressed them to the glass. The room darkened as the glow dimmed. I stepped back, but the mirrors began to pulse, each one rippling outward like the surface of a pond. The hum became words, a chorus in my own voice. Stay. You wanted to see. Now you belong. Hands reached out from the mirrors, dozens of them, gripping my arms, my shoulders, my throat. Their touch was ice. I tried to scream, but the sound came out wrong, distorted, mechanical, like feedback through a broken speaker. I tore free and stumbled toward the door, but the floorboards twisted beneath me, turning into a slick black surface that reflected the glow. My reflection moved faster than I did, reaching up through the floor, grabbing my ankle. It was smiling. Let me out, it whispered. The world blinked. I was outside again. The hum was gone. The air was cold, the street quiet. I looked back, and number 19 was gone. In its place was an empty lot overgrown with weeds. For the first time in days, I felt normal. The tension in my chest eased. I even laughed, a small, broken sound of relief. Maybe it was over. Maybe whatever had happened had finally let me go. I walked back to my house, trembling but grateful to be breathing. When I stepped inside, everything looked exactly as I'd left it. The sunlight poured through the windows. My phone buzzed on the counter. A new message. Unknown. Thank you for letting me out. Before I could react, the TV turned on by itself. Static filled the screen, then cleared to show the interior of my living room, but from another angle. The feed was coming from inside the house. I stepped back, staring at the screen. In the corner of the frame, someone stood behind me. It looked exactly like me. I spun around. Empty. The hum returned, so soft it was almost gentle. Then, from the TV, the other version of me spoke. You shouldn't have left me there. I reached for the remote, but my hand froze midair. My reflection on the TV moved on its own, smiling wider and wider until its mouth split open into a black void. The image distorted. The lights flickered. My reflection reached toward the screen and stepped through it. It stood there, inches away, wearing my face perfectly. But its eyes were wrong, hollow, faintly glowing from within. I watched for years, it said. You were the first to look back. I stumbled backward. What do you want from me? It tilted its head, just like the figure in the street had done that first night. To trade places. The hum filled the air again, vibrating through my bones. My vision swam, my body heavy, my mind splitting in two. I felt myself being pulled, like a current dragging me underwater. The walls flickered, my surroundings melting into that same dim, blue light. And in the last moment before everything went white, I saw my double step forward, adjusting the collar of my shirt, smiling contentedly. Thank you, it said softly. It's your turn to watch. When my vision cleared, I was standing inside a window. On the other side of the glass, I saw my house, my living room, my body, my copy, moving around like nothing had changed. I pounded on the glass, screaming, but no sound came out. My hands left faint, glowing marks against the window. The clock struck 3 a.m. The glow began again. I don't breathe anymore, not the way I used to. The air around me feels thick, heavy, like trying to inhale through syrup. And yet, somehow, I'm alive, or something close to it. I can move, things see, but what I see isn't real. I'm inside the window, inside the glass. Across the street, my house glows faintly from within. I can see him, the other me, walking around, cooking, opening doors, answering phone calls in my voice. Every movement, every small gesture is so perfectly normal it makes my stomach twist. He's not pretending to be me. He is me now, and I'm nothing more than his reflection. At first, I thought I could escape. When I pressed my hand against the glass, the light rippled, and for a split second, I felt the world beyond. Cool air, movement, life. But then the glass solidified again, trapping me back inside. Each attempt drained something from me. I could feel myself fading, my body turning translucent, like fog pressed against a surface that refused to let me pass. The only sound that remains constant is the hum. It never stops. Sometimes it grows so faint I almost forget it's there. But when I do, something moves in the shadows behind me. Something tall, thin, and patient. I can't see its face, but I know it's the same figure I saw that night in the street. It lives in here too, watching, waiting. Time doesn't pass normally. The sun sets and rises behind the glass, but I never feel the warmth. I only know it's night again when the light returns, the blue, pulsing glow that fills every corner of this place. That's when the others appear. Yes, there are others. They come out of the mirrors along the walls, faces and bodies half-formed, drifting like smoke. Some look human, some don't. They move without sound, brushing against the glass, leaving faint, glowing trails where their hands touch. And every single one of them looks like they're trapped, just like me. Sometimes I see familiar faces. The mail carrier, Officer Reynolds, even the old woman with the cane. Their eyes are hollow, their mouths open in silent screams. When I try to speak to them, they vanish, melting back into the glass like mist. But one night, if it's still night, I hear a voice that stops me cold. Can you hear me? It's a woman's voice. Clear, human, coming from somewhere beyond the window. I press my hands to the glass, searching. Then I see her, standing in the middle of the street, staring at the glowing house. Her name is Sarah. I don't know how I know that, but I do. She's new here. Her hair is damp, like she's just moved in. I remember that feeling. The hope, the sense that this neighborhood might be a quiet escape from the world. She's looking at my house, at him, and he's looking back. I try to scream. I slam my fist against the window, but the sound doesn't reach her. My reflection ripples with each hit, but the barrier holds. The glow around the house intensifies, the same way it did for me the first time I saw it. The hum deepens, vibrating through the walls, through me. I can feel it pulling her closer. Her eyes glaze over as she steps into the street, one hesitant foot after another. I can see him now, my double, standing at the front door, smiling. He's holding something in his hand, the small, cracked mirror. He's going to give it to her. Sarah, don't. I whisper, even though I know she can't hear me. She reaches for the mirror. Her reflection appears in the glass of number 19's window, faint at first, then sharper. She gasps, stepping back. The mirror trembles in her hand. The hum rises into a scream, high-pitched and electric. And then, just like before, the world flashes white. When the light fades, she's gone. I collapse to my knees inside the glass. The others whisper behind me, their voices merging with the hum. Another one. She looked. She's one of us now. I don't want to believe it, but when I look toward the far end of the room, I see her. Sarah. She's standing inside another mirror, her face pale, eyes wide and lost. She sees me, recognizes me somehow. What happened? She mouths. I try to answer, but my voice doesn't exist here. She presses her hands against the surface, mirroring my movements. And then, through the faint vibration of the glass, I hear her. Not with my ears, but in my head. It tricked me, she says. It used her face. I know. I answer silently. It used mine too. There's a pause. Her expression hardens. There has to be a way out. We spend what feels like days, maybe weeks, testing the limits of this place. Every mirror, every reflection, every flicker of light. The rules are strange, but consistent. We can't leave the glass unless someone outside sees us. The moment we're noticed, the reflection becomes real again, briefly. That's how it moves between worlds. That's how it escapes. But if we can reach someone before the copy does, maybe we can warn them. Maybe we can break the cycle. The hum shifts. It's aware of what we're doing. The air grows cold. The shadows stir. The tall figure moves closer, its elongated shape gliding between mirrors. Wherever it passes, the glass darkens, swallowing the light. Run, Sarah whispers. though we both know there's nowhere to go. The figure stops behind her. Its face, if it has one, is a swirling void of static and smoke. It raises one impossibly long arm and touches her shoulder. She screams soundlessly as her body flickers, disintegrating into shards of light. And then she's gone. The mirrors settle. The hum quiets. But I can feel something change. The glow outside has stopped coming at 3 a.m. It's shifted to 2:47. That means he's getting stronger. I don't know how long I've been trapped here when the first new sound cuts through the silence. A car engine. Headlights flash across the glass. And for the first time in what feels like eternity, I see someone alive. A man steps out, carrying a box. He looks tired, moving into the house across from mine. My heart sinks. Another new neighbor. I can see him, the thing wearing my face, watching from the window of my old home. The clock on his mantle reads 2:46 a.m. He's waiting. I press my palms against the glass and scream with everything I have. The window shakes, cracks spiderweb across the surface, light pouring from the fractures. For the first time, the barrier feels weaker. I push harder, desperate, every ounce of strength focused on one thought. Don't look. The cracks spread wider. My reflection fractures into pieces, each shard showing different moments of my life. My first night here, the officer's warning, Sarah's face before she disappeared. Then, through the largest crack, I see the new man across the street. He's unpacking boxes, humming to himself. He hasn't noticed the glow yet. He will soon. The hum returns, louder than ever. It's coming from inside me now, vibrating through my bones. The glass beneath my hands begins to melt, turning fluid, luminous. I can feel myself slipping through. The last thing I hear before everything shatters is my own voice, dozens of versions of it, whispering the same phrase over and over again. Someone has to stop watching. I fall forward, gasping, hitting cold pavement. The air tastes real. I can breathe. I'm outside. The hum has stopped. The glow is gone. Across the street, the new neighbor, his name's Daniel, I think, is standing by his car, looking confused. He sees me lying there and rushes over. Hey, are you okay? What happened? I can't speak. My throat burns. I grab his wrist and whisper the only thing I can manage. Don't watch the light. He stares at me like I'm insane. Behind him, I see my old house. The curtains twitch. A flicker of movement. The glow begins again. 2:47 a.m. Daniel stared down at me, wide-eyed, as the glow from my old house began to bleed across the street. I could see it reflected in his pupils, that cold blue-white shimmer that had taken everything from me. Don't look at it. I rasped, gripping his sleeve. Whatever you do, don't look. He froze, torn between helping me and glancing toward the light. The glow was hypnotic. It pulled at you, the way a riptide drags swimmers under. Even now, after everything, I could feel it calling to me, whispering through the air in soft vibrations that threaded into my skull. Then came the hum, that low, resonant frequency that seemed to vibrate through the bones of the earth itself. It rolled over us like thunder. The ground trembled beneath my palms. Daniel's head turned slightly, his eyes drawn toward the window. I shouted, yanking him back. No, don't. But it was too late. He stared straight into the glow. For a heartbeat, everything went silent. The wind stopped. The world itself held its breath. Then his expression changed. The fear drained from his face, replaced by something blank, serene, almost reverent. The corners of his mouth twitched upward into a small, unsettling smile. Do you hear it? He whispered. It's beautiful. I scrambled to my feet. Daniel, listen to me. You have to leave. That light isn't. He took a step toward it. It's not what you think, he murmured, voice distant. It's showing me something, showing us something. The glow pulsed stronger, washing over the street in waves. My skin prickled, the air humming like electricity. The glass windows of both houses began to vibrate, the sound rising higher, sharper, until it became a shriek. Daniel, I shouted again. Look away. He didn't. The light swallowed him whole. When it finally faded, he was gone. Not vanished entirely. No, something worse. In his place stood a faint outline, flickering like static. A human shape made of fractured light. His face was there, but distorted, the eyes hollow, mouth half open in an endless, soundless scream. Then he dissolved into the air, leaving behind nothing but a faint afterimage burned into my vision. My knees gave out. I wanted to cry, to scream, to run, but I couldn't, because when I looked back at my old house, he was standing in the window again, the other me, smiling. The house began to change. The glow spread from the windows to the walls, crawling like veins of light through the wood and brick. It wasn't a house anymore. It was alive, pulsing, breathing. The hum deepened into something closer to a voice, 1,000 overlapping tones speaking in harmony. You belong here. The words weren't coming from outside. They were inside my head. I clutched my ears, stumbling backward. No, I got out. You can't have me again. But the light followed, spilling across the pavement, reaching for my feet like tendrils. The street beneath me cracked, glowing from within. I turned and ran. I didn't know where I was going. Anywhere but there. The entire neighborhood had gone dark, every other house abandoned, every window empty. The only light left was that unearthly glow behind me, stretching farther and farther until it painted the whole block in pale blue. I ran until my lungs burned, until I collapsed against a lamppost at the end of the street. My vision swam. I looked up and froze. There, carved into the metal of the pole, were words scratched deep into the surface. Don't look at the light. It looks back. The letters pulsed faintly, glowing for a moment before fading again. My stomach turned cold. Someone else had been here before me. Someone else had tried to warn the next person. The hum was behind me again, closer. I turned and saw the glow spreading down the street like a tidal wave of light. Inside it, shapes were forming. People, or the things that used to be people. Their outlines shimmered, their faces familiar. The mail carrier, Officer Reynolds, the old woman, Sarah. Their mouths moved in unison, whispering words I couldn't hear. And behind them, at the center of the light, stood my reflection, the creature wearing my face. You can't run forever, it said, though its mouth never moved. You opened the window. You let us in. The hum grew, so loud I thought my skull would split. The ground beneath me fractured, light seeping through every crack. The air shimmered like heat. I covered my ears, screaming, but my own voice was lost in sound. Then silence. I woke up in darkness. My head throbbed. The air was cold and damp. For a moment, I thought I was back inside the glass. But no, the floor beneath me was solid. I was inside a basement. I tried to stand, but my legs barely held me. In the corner, something glowed faintly, a single mirror propped against the wall. My reflection was waiting. Only, it wasn't me anymore. It was Daniel. He smiled sadly, pressing a hand against the glass. You try to warn me, he said, voice muffled but clear. But it's too late. It never stops. Once you see it, you're part of it. I shook my head. No, there has to be a way out. There has to be. Daniel's reflection tilted its head. There is, but it's not the kind of escape you want. The light behind him began to build, pulsing brighter and brighter until it filled the mirror completely. And then I saw it, the truth. The light wasn't just a glow. It was an opening, a portal between reflections, between lives. Every time someone looked at it, it reached out, copied them, pulled them in, left something else behind. The more people watched, the stronger it became. The hum was its heartbeat. The reflections were its eyes. And I've been its voice. The mirror cracked. The light seeped through the fractures, spreading across the floor toward me. I stumbled back, pressing against the wall, but the glow reached my shoes, my legs, my chest. It felt warm, almost gentle. I heard all of them then. The voices of everyone it had taken. Hundreds, maybe thousands. Their whispers filled the room, not angry or vengeful, just tired. End it, they said. End the watching. The light climbed on my body, covering my arms, my throat. My reflection smiled. You can stop it, Daniel whispered, but you'll have to take my place. The hum built to a crescendo, shaking the walls. I pressed my hands to the mirror. If it means no one else gets taken, I said quietly, then so be it. The glass rippled under my palms. The light pulled me in. For a moment, I felt weightless. Then everything exploded into white. When the light faded, the mirror was gone. The house stood dark and still. A week later, a for sale sign appeared outside. The windows remained dark. No more glow at 3 a.m. The neighbors whispered about strange noises, about the man who went missing, but no one really believed it until last night. Because last night, at 2:47 a.m., the windows of the next house down the street started to glow, a faint, pulsing blue. And if you listen closely, just for a moment, you can hear a low hum beneath the silence. It sounds almost like breathing. The end.